attorney, and then they would like to.
That's all I need.
I do have a blade. Just throwing that out. That when we start the meeting, and then we can
Yep.
go forward.
All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's 9:04. I would like to call the Pasco County Mosquito Control District Board of Commissioners meeting to order for August 18th, 2026. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. Abbott.
This is the day. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now that you ask me, across the street, there's a flag that needs to be taken down, so just wanted to note that.
Okay.
Across the street
A flag needs to be taken down.
on someone else's property.
Yeah, it's really, really in rough shape. Maybe we can send them a note, it's time to take it down. Yeah.
All right. I want to state that our meeting is being broadcast. The audio is. We're having some video difficulties. Our IT folks are working on that, and hopefully we can get that up and going. But I am assured that the audio is being obviously being recorded and also being broadcast online. Could we call the roll, please?
Evans here.
Abbott here.
Cox is here.
Executive Director Rogers present.
All right, first item is to approve the agenda.
If I may make a recommendation to swap items A and B under unfinished business.
Okay,
Sure.
Thank
do
you.
we have a motion to approve with the change?
Motion approved. With change.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, any discussion?
None?
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public comment? Oh, who signed up? No one has signed up today.
Same as the polls. Nobody signed up.
And nothing online either.
All right, we will move along. New business, nothing is notated, anything as a walk-on. All right, hearing none, unfinished business. 8B, architectural service firm selection, Executive Director Rogers.
All right, thank you, sir. We have spent a significant amount of time working with the architect, our owner's rep, district council to develop an agreement with a fee structure that appropriately fits the district's unique situation on this project. As you all know, we are working with a significant amount of deferred maintenance needs across the campus and improvements that we would like to make a better position with the district in our current and future operational needs. However, the full scope of the project is not yet fully defined because we don't know which of several options that have been floated will be the most feasible and most economically sound options to move forward with. There's a number of variables that we still need to work through before we can confidently establish a final project cost. And so the document that you have before you represents the results of those negotiations and specifically addresses the proposed fees and the structure for architect and engineering services. Because we don't yet have that final scope, we've structured the project into two proposed phases. Phase one is really about figuring out what the project needs are. It includes conditions assessment, programming, site master planning, and schematic design. The architect will evaluate our existing facilities and infrastructure, work with staff to develop the programming for the spaces that we require, and ultimately develop a master plan with options for the entire property, again, including any future needs that we can anticipate, but may not be able to accommodate at this particular juncture with the project. So the master plan will then be developed into a schematic design. Importantly, I want to say that the compensation structure for phase one, you'll note that it is hourly with not to exceed amounts that are established for each of the components of the work described, with a total phase one not to exceed amount of $244,805. This gives us the flexibility to obtain the professional services we actually need as we're working through the programming, instead of committing to paying for services that we don't know that we're going to need yet. So this allows us that flexibility by doing it hourly with those not to exceed amounts built in. We already have a good understanding of many of our operational needs. Of course, we've been identifying those over the last 7 years that we've been talking about making improvements for our operational spaces. As an example, we've done a significant amount of work in identifying, particularly for our administrative and our entomology functions, identifying the space types that we need and their adjacencies, what makes sense to be operationally efficient, in terms of things like how many offices, what kind of storage capacity do we need, the laboratory spaces, and what those need to be next to make our operation more smooth and efficient. And so that really gives our design team a great foundational starting point, so that, you know, the $40,000 as an example for the programming fee that you see in that document today, we don't anticipate having to spend all of that, because we have some of that foundational work already completed because of the project that we were pursuing over the last couple of years. There is one additional point that I want to make regarding the compensation structure that you see before you. Based on further review with District Council this morning, the agreement provides that reimbursable expenses are to be paid at actual cost with no markups by the consultant or its contractors. Although there are some rate sheets that you saw in the document that include language referring to markups for other conditions, those provisions are not applicable to this agreement. And so as long as we just clearly communicate that to the architect through our owner's rep, and any future invoicing as we're reviewing that coming in is consistent with the terms in the executed agreement. So in other words, the district will only reimburse actual approved costs and not any of those markups that are described in the rate sheets, because they came in so it was really down to the wire yesterday. So just as a point of clarification, wanted the board to be aware of that, so there's no confusion moving forward with the agreement.
So are you referring to the escalation clauses that are also in the contract?
So specifically on the rate sheets that are, hold on, you have the one printed copy.
Towards the back.
I didn't print them out.
Yeah.
Yes, if you pull the rate sheets up,
Yep.
there is, flip a couple pages there.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I could just, that would be true. Anything that they added on the rate sheets that's inconsistent with actually what's in Exhibit B or Table B1 is not applicable. And Table B1 specifically states that the rates cannot be changed without the District Board of Commissioners' prior written consent.
Okay, so on the hourly billing rates, the triple asterisk on the bottom, it says annual rate increases average 6% per year. So you're saying that will not apply? What?
Correct, and we just got some of the rate sheets, as the executive director said yesterday afternoon. The architect signed the contract. I have no concerns if the board wants to say we approve based on those items being removed from the rate sheets, and then we can talk to the architect and get clean rate sheets and then have her re-sign it, if that makes the board more comfortable.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, so the important part for how we structured this is what happens at the end of phase one before moving on to phase two. Phase one, once phase one is complete, we will have a much better understanding of the full scope of our needs in its entirety with the master plan. Now, at that point, we'll have a cost estimate developed by the construction manager that we'll be hiring on here in the next couple of months. And the board will have an opportunity to pause and evaluate that master plan with the proposed budget that is associated with that master plan, and really determine, does the scope we've identified make sense? Does the estimated cost fit within the funding that we have available? And do we want to move forward with the entire master plan, or do we want to move forward with portions of the master plan that are of highest priority that fit our budget? So that's the important distinction. You will have an opportunity at that point to say yes or no to A, B, and C out of D, E, and F, for example. So if the answer is yes, then the board can authorize us to proceed to phase 2, which includes the detailed design, development of construction documents, all the permitting, guaranteed maximum price, development support, construction administration, all of the closeout services associated with the final project. If, however, we get through phase 1 and determine that the full scope is more than the funding that we have available, we've built in that flexibility to then be able to consider that phased approach. So we can say we're moving forward with the highest priority items that can be accomplished with the funds we have on hand at that time, and then down the road we can move to the additional items, but we have it all master planned out so that there's some forward thinking and sustainability built into the project with that flexibility. It will become before you all to make that decision to move forward, and then at that point, the benefit or the compensation structure will be for phase 2, the architectural, structural, mechanical, electric, plumbing, all of those engineering fees, all of that is based on the negotiated percentage of construction costs identified in the phase 1. So if we determine that we're moving forward with $8 million worth of construction costs based on that master plan, the fee for phase 2 is based on that percentage, that 8% percentage based on the state of Florida's fee curve for renovation projects for architectural work. So that is how we structured it, so that you all have that flexibility, and I think that gives us the right balance in moving the project forward while being able to maintain appropriate fiscal controls and evaluating the true scope before making the decision to commit to the funds.
Good. Anything else?
Sounds like you really dug into this.
We have been, yes, because this is a complex project, and we only have a certain amount of money that we have saved in cash to be able to pursue this, and we want to make sure that we're getting it right. And fortunately, we've got the expertise of Jonathan with our owner's rep and Attorney Donaldson with our district council to be able to guide us through this process. It has it's been quite a process, but we finally got there. So hopefully you all can understand the advantage to the approach that we've described and presented to you.
I did have some concerns last time, but it looks like you probably addressed them around the $153,000 for landscape architectural services. But as I looked at the detail, I see so much of this is spent on permitting. Because I thought landscape meant trees, bushes, and all that, which we're probably gonna get a waiver on.
There is.
And only $12,000 is for landscape architecture, so that's good. And the rest of it is to pay our own government for all of our permitting, right?
Unfortunately,
So
there are a
that's
lot of
good. It
fees
does create
associated with
jobs.
that,
Yeah.
Yes,
No, it's not
and-
good. I'm being sarcastic, yes. Amazing how
Right.
much you spend in permitting. But we will spend a few $100,000 in permitting, won't we?
Unfortunately, that is the construction world.
Yeah.
But to your point with the landscaping that may or may not be required, there is potential that we could apply for a waiver given our operational practices with the aircraft. So I know the district has done that in the past, so we would be exploring that as an option. So
Okay.
again, these are phase 1, these are not to exceed amounts. We don't anticipate needing to reach all of those thresholds, but they are built in there so that we've got something to work with.
Okay.
Did I
And
miss
it's-
anything?
Some of these other billing rates, I wasn't sure, I got different logos. Are these comparisons of other companies?
These are the sub-consultants, or the consultants for the architectural firm.
Wow.
So we're talking about, is it Panoni? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Yep.
Yep.
Jonathan Moore and Mission
I'm sorry.
Advisors, yes. Panoni Structural Engineering, working underneath the architect.
I see, okay.
So are their fees in addition to?
No, sir.
That's-
They are
okay.
part of this agreement.
Okay.
These are the hourly rates that would go into
Right, but
that
not to
phase one.
exceed, period. Okay.
Correct.
And then are we, at Panoni, it seems like they need to be involved from the very beginning.
They will be part of the initial assessment of our existing conditions, yes.
Okay, and they were selected by PBK?
They were a part of their
Yeah.
RFP submission,
Okay.
yes.
So with Whitaker, are we bound by them by approving this?
I don't know who Whitaker is.
That's the landscape.
Oh, landscape
Yeah,
architect.
landscape, yeah.
So the landscape architect is actually a sub-consultant under the civil. So we have PBK consulting with the civil, who's consulting with the landscape.
Okay. So, do we have, I mean, so by approving this, we're bound by Whitaker, or could we decide, a few months from now or whenever, that, hey, we wanna do that directly with the landscape or, entity?
Mr. Chair, if you want, I can answer that question.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. The way it's set up is, no, we would not be able to pull out unless PBK agreed to an amendment to the contract to do that. I will tell you, they originally, how this all started was we did not have any billing rates. We did not have any, the Whitaker listed. And so by including the billing rates in that company, we're locking that rate down. And we're also making sure that, I know the executive director mentioned phase one is a not to exceed, but the phase two related to the civil engineering and the landscape architect services, so in this scenario, Whitaker cannot exceed $12,870. That was a lively discussion to make that be a not to exceed and not a flat fee, because we don't really know what's going to be involved.
Okay.
And remember, the bulk of their work is going to be code required.
Yeah.
Low cover, most likely, grass and
Right.
irrigation, that will
way to
again
put
seek
it.
that waiver for any taller landscape requirements.
Okay, all right.
Is there a concern with that particular?
No, I just wanna know if we're bound by them, for them, but, so the reason I'm asking that is because I look back here at the rate sheet and, landscape architect, $350 an hour. I'm like,
The principal,
the principal,
Yeah.
but the senior design tech, 175, the draftsman, 75, and so I just thought those were high, but bottom line is it's not gonna exceed the $12,000.
correct.
Okay, well, we do, it's a lot of property to do landscaping on. Randy, did you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So on page 23, I have a question. So, where it says, the consultant's report will provide a summary of findings including, so it's observed conditions, photographic documentations, recommendations for reuse, anticipated limitations for renovations, and an estimated current code wind velocity and category for existing
Sorry, what
admin
page are you
building
on?
only. 23?
23.
It's right in the middle. So my question is, are we only
That's for
trying
this-
to harden the admin building?
The existing, so our current structure.
Okay, but what about all the other structures out here? I mean, we only have two of the, how many structures we have are actually graded?
I think we have one.
Well, the chemical building and the new hangar.
The newer hangar
Oh, you're
is
right,
higher
that's
rated.
true, yeah.
So go ahead, Jonathan.
So any building that we touch, there's gonna be the discussion of what needs to be upgraded to meet the code. If you are, there are provisions in the Florida Building Code that say you can do so much % work without having to increase the design wind speeds. So the architect will be mindful of that percentage, and once we go beyond that, we may need to look at structural improvements of buildings if we're doing major renovations to other buildings.
But so,
So-
that's being forced to do that. We get to a point where we,
Right, if, say you look at fleet, if we
Yeah.
wanna enclose or improve fleet, any of the fleet buildings, there might be improvements to the structure required that are put upon us by the Florida Building Code, as opposed to a conscious decision of another building to harden beyond what code requires.
well,
But to your point, I think what you're asking, so if we did decide to harden and enclose and therefore harden the fleet structures, the fleet storage structures, because that particular statement says the administrative building only,
right.
are we able to still do it to those other buildings? In my mind, I was thinking that's the only existing building that we would be looking at making a renovation to make that assessment is this building, but the fleet storage building, I think, is what you're trying to capture there. So I guess that's a question. Does that statement preclude us from being able to get the consultant report summarizing the findings of whether the fleet buildings can also be reviewed to that level? Is that?
Yep.
Well, so where I'm going with this is that, you know, I believe that both hangars need to be hurricane rated, not just one. I believe the fleet building needs to be hardened, and also, you know, where we store our equipment. You know, we need to be able to be operational after a storm, and so that's sort of high on my priority list, is to be able to do that, not just this building.
Right.
Right?
Is there any,
So, go ahead, Randy.
is there any discussion of potentially merging or combining the two hangars into one hurricane structure, or is that cost prohibitive, or?
So the scope of this project, the primary focus is for administrative and entomological spaces, fleet storage and protection, and parking and overall flow around the campus. So the potential hardening of the fleet buildings or renovations to the fleet buildings is part of this. I think the master plan will allow us to look at some of the other operational spaces with the hangar and the fleet building, but that's really not the scope of this project, because we had very strong thoughts that was going to be well beyond the budget that we have. So master planning, I think it's a great way to look at that, but to actually be talking about hardening the fleet or hangars at this point, I think is gonna be well beyond the scope of the funds that we have available for this project right now.
Well, what's the downside of knowing what that entails now? You know, maybe as we allocate the funds to the priorities, you know, so maybe that falls to a lower priority, but wouldn't it make sense to know what it takes to do that now? So that, you know, 5 years from now, or whatever the case may be, we can then budget and do that project. As opposed to starting it all over again, saying, well, we gotta hire an architect, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, you know.
Sure, and I think that's where we address it in the master plan, if I'm not
Exactly.
mistaken.
Yes, I think there's
Okay.
room to look at the campus as a whole in that master planning phase. We'll need to drill into what the priorities are before we get into schematic. We won't be able to fully design everything, but we'll prioritize items alongside the budget.
Or can we do it in like a phased approach where, you know, we got this and then 5 years down the road, we'll do that, or?
That's exactly it. So we'll develop a master plan. That's not gonna be detailed and precise, but it will give us an idea of, if it does make sense to make one larger hangar and combine the two, or, a larger fleet building, et cetera. That will be in the master plan. So at the end of phase one, we see, okay, the admin entomological spaces is this cost. The fleet storage buildings to harden or whatever we need to do with them is this cost. The rest of the spaces on the campus, you know, they're going to be defined to a very preliminary level, but then you all decide, we're gonna move forward with, you know, these number of items out of the whole master plan, and then if in several years down the road, we can build more cash to be able to move to another phase, that would be the goal.
Okay, but so, to answer, I guess my question, is this contract, is it the hardening of the buildings only applying to the admin building and we're just not going to ignore the rest of them?
It was not intended to read as such, so Laura, does that specific line address his concern? Do we need to alter that?
Yeah, so the language, the starter, it says, we'll provide a summary of findings, including, and so that, by including, it means other things are gonna be included with that consultant's report. So I don't think it would be an issue to have them look at that for other buildings, because phase one is hourly, with the not to exceed, then it's not as though we're asking them to do more work for free.
Can we just remove the word only? And then it's more broad?
We could do that, but we would just have to have, yeah, we could do that, we would just have to have PBK re-sign the contract. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, if we do that, that also helps us eliminate the increase of rates and the other things that the company put on their rate sheet inappropriately. So the board could approve the contract with changes by deleting only on page 23, and then removing the rate increase, and then the markup language that you and I talked about this morning, contingent on PBK agreeing to those changes. And if PBK doesn't agree to those changes, we'll be back here in a month.
Yeah, the word only does not accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish.
Right.
I mean, that sentence needs to say cost estimate code, wind velocity, and category for all buildings. That's what it needs to say.
Or how about for existing buildings?
That's fine, for existing buildings. That's what it needs to say.
Structures.
Or structures, yeah.
Quick question, because don't you have 2 buildings that have already had this done? Should we exclude those?
Yes.
I think if we just say for
Yeah.
existing structures instead of all structures, then that's broad and flexible, right?
Yeah, that covers.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see one for the hangar and the chemical building, because they're done.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Ms. Donaldson, tell us exactly what that sentence is gonna say.
Estimated current code wind velocity in category for existing buildings.
We're striking
Structures.
administration.
Or structures. I don't know what the difference between a structure and a building, so I apologize.
You have,
I think they mean the same thing.
Does a building mean it's enclosed?
Structure could
And a structure is
not
open, like a
necessarily
parking
be a
base?
building, but it would cover
Yeah.
everything.
I just wanna make sure the parking
Probably
bays are
say
included.
structure.
Structures, okay. So
I would just say,
existing
I mean, the
structures.
easiest, can I just say, the easiest may be is to take out, I mean, we could just say for existing buildings, and at the consultant's report, we'll provide a summary of findings, we could put including but not limited to. That, in my mind, gives you complete flexibility, because then it makes it clear that you're looking for other things besides just the 5 bullets.
So consultant's report will provide a summary of findings included but not limited to, and
But
then not limited to.
Yes.
And then the last bullet, estimated current code, wind velocity and category for existing structures.
Correct.
Okay.
I will just point out, I'm perfectly fine with that language, but I do know that PBK's proposal excluded certain things related to certain buildings. And so I just want to put that, so PBK may come back at some point and say we need to increase the not to exceed as it relates to this, this one item.
Was that in
Is
the
it-
proposed fee structure or the original submission? I can try to look it up quickly.
That was in the document that she sent yesterday morning.
So, okay, well, if that would be the case, then that would come back to us for approval of that one item.
Correct.
So it's not
So
gonna
as
hold
an,
you
as an
up or
amendment
whatever.
to the contract.
So if you can reprint page 23 with your changes,
Okay,
then it, providing the board approves it today, we'll sign it. You know, if there's an issue with PBK, then we'll have to deal with it next month, but I doubt there will be.
As well as making changes to the rate
the rate
sheets.
sheets.
Right. Yeah, we can always come back and, yeah.
Okay. So this is page 23.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, this is a normal process for consultants to put as many things as they possibly can on rate sheets in an effort to undermine what's in the contract. And just because of the timing of the negotiations, we were not able to get to that issue yesterday.
Okay, so, somebody like to state the changes that we're making to it, and then based on that, we'll make a motion.
Okay, so
Yeah,
on
you guys good?
page,
Sure.
on page 23, midway through the page, consultant's report will provide a summary of findings, including but not limited to. And the last bullet, the additional change, the last bullet will read, estimated current code wind velocity and category for existing structures. And then we will also update the rate sheets based on the conversation with the architect,
Right.
Deleting the increases.
deleting the increases,
Just
the escalation,
Not
the
to
markup.
belabor the point, Mr. Chairman, at the top of the page, it says buildings, slant structures.
On 23?
On 23, very top of the page, it's like the third word in.
You wanted
Yep.
to read the same
Should we
way?
use that, existing administration, building,
For existing buildings /
Structure.
structures?
Yep.
just to keep it consistent? I don't know. Just a thought.
That's good.
Okay.
You earned your law degree.
Okay.
All right,
so let
did
me-
you have that in the record? Ms. Donaldson, are you clear with that? Does that sound okay with you?
Yes, everything is perfect, thank you.
Love to hear.
Love it.
All right, entertain a
Okay,
motion.
well, that is the motion that Director Rogers put forward, and I will
Well,
make
I don't
that-
put motions forward, I
No.
just provide language.
You provided language. thank
Commissioner
you.
Abbott just moved the motion.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, unfinished business,
All right,
item
thank
A.
you.
Yay. Good
Yes,
job,
we can
everyone.
move forward.
Hi, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you for voting this morning. You
Thank
got
you
up early,
very
that's
much.
good.
Thank you. Appreciate all of your efforts, Mr. Moore and Ms. Donaldson. Could not have gotten through that process without your guidance, so thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
All right.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me be your lawyer.
Uh-huh. You have good hearing.
And God bless you, I heard you sneeze
We
earlier.
finally have a good sound system.
All right. You're up. Budget.
All right. We are on to draft budget for fiscal year 2026, 2027. Before you and your board packets, and today you have version 4 of the draft budget for next fiscal year, which incorporates the feedback and direction provided by the board in our prior budget discussions, along with further refinement of the expenditures that we anticipate for the upcoming fiscal year. This version also has updated information from each department regarding both our recurring operational expenditures and planned capital purchases for next year. At our last couple of meetings, we've already discussed and have begun the purchase of certain capital items that, before the start of the fiscal year, where it makes operational and financial sense to do so, given the reimbursement that we did finally receive prior to last board meeting. So this includes the additional replacement vehicles that were brought up at the last meeting. Now, we did not have the exact cost for those in last month's draft, so we do have those in this month's draft. So with your approval, we can go ahead and move forward with those today, using that cash that we have on hand and getting that off of next year's budget, if that is the pleasure of the board. So if you would like to provide me some direction on that particular item before we move on.
I think that's smart.
Yep, that's
Fine with
very
me.
wise.
Okay.
You need a motion?
We've discussed it in prior board meetings, so I don't believe so. We talked about purchasing the vehicles for this fiscal year and next. So if you want a
We did
motion-
approve that.
Right.
That was in the form of a motion.
So then I think we are okay.
Okay. You agree, Attorney Donaldson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that I want to bring your attention to in terms of capital purchase for replacement, replacing one of our airboats and trailers. That is a new item. Remember, the last draft just had estimated costs, so this is just refinement of all of that. So one of our 2 airboats is now over 20 years old. We've been experiencing a number of significant maintenance and reliability concerns with the vessel. In particular, the polymer material on the unit is cracking and deteriorating, which will require an extensive repair if we continue to operate with the existing vessel. The airboat also needs a new carbon fiber prop, because that is also well beyond its useful life. Is there another capital item that we've been deferring because of reductions to the budget the last couple of years beyond our rollback rate? Those were items that were cut. So the replacement of this airboat and trailer is included in version 4 that you have.
What line item is it?
Budget should be one of the last items under capital.
6064.
Thank you, sir. 6064. So if you would like for us to move forward in purchasing that with the cash we have on hand, again, spending down that cash before the start of the fiscal year, that would remove 6064, the remaining item from that line item, the airboat and the associated trailer.
So that line item for airboat, that includes all that?
There is the trailer on the next
Oh.
page, I printed separately.
Oh.
It didn't fit on that page.
Okay, got it, all right.
Yes. So essentially, every item that you see under 6064, we've already I just gave staff approval for the track upgrade after discussions last month. So 60-64, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items would come off of next year's budget.
Okay.
How did you achieve that number? You got
We
quotations at
got
this point?
3 competitive quotes based on our operational specs. You have to, because of the nature in which we use the vessel, we do have specific requirements in order to, one, get it into areas that we need it for, without being too large or too small for our needs, but also the length is important because of the mission equipment that we put into the vessel.
And what's the length of your airboat? Sorry.
That I can look up, but I do not have that off the top of my head right now. I can get those details if you'd like.
I'm
them,
just
but
curious if
We
you-
sent a full scope to the vendors for competitive quotes.
So-
So they all came back.
Do we know where the
Apples to apples.
vendor's at? Because I think there's some companies in Pasco that build airboats. so
We
did you include them?
we have
I don't
3,
remember.
he's looking it up right now.
Okay. I'm just curious if you included them.
So the sale of
ability
the
to sit on
existing
it.
one would happen when the other one arrives, so sometime next budget year.
And we can actually use that one as, for trade-in value. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
potential to do it that way. And then that would reduce the overall purchase price.
Is it
Okay.
more advantageous to trade it or auction it?
I guess when we see, it's not gonna be like a true trade-in, right? The places we talked to said they can take it for consignment, which we decided not to do that.
Yeah.
So auction slash sell slash whatever, the highest, CJ's got a process that he's looking at and different auction vendors that do different things that we've met, and he's looking into doing that, but we're waiting to see,
And,
what
and if we
happens.
don't, do it as a trade-in, then of course, like all of our other equipment, we offer it as surplus property first. And then if no one, through that process purchases it, then that's when we typically go to our other sale mechanisms.
And
Airboat trader?
the funds for the sale are already included in the projections for cash inflow next budget year,
And what is that projection?
15,000
15?
or 15, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, that's an estimate.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the one we're replacing, is it larger than the old one or just,
I'm pulling that up right now.
okay, sorry.
The new one we're getting is 14 feet, which is what our old one is. And it's the cheapest bid with more, it had a few more equipment options on it, is out of Cocoa, Florida.
Can you pull up the location of the other 2 that we received quotes from?
Wow,
Usually come out of Floral City.
that seems really small.
They are small. I've always thought that when I look at
Yeah,
them.
they don't have any waves.
No, I know, but I mean, I've seen some larger ones. I'm just thinking with the equipment that you need something larger, but I guess not.
Well, it's to get into spaces, and then the
Right.
equipment counterbalances the back end,
Right.
replace the equipment that way, so Brookie takes all that into account when he puts it on.
You know, with everything that we utilize, and even including the things that we have been designed in-house, we've never designed to grandeur. We in excess. I mean, we are operational needs and operational needs only, so.
Is that an aircraft
You know,
engine?
despite some misinformation out there, we actually don't overbuy
Right.
for what our needs are.
Is that an aircraft engine?
It's a propeller, yeah.
Now, but
Well,
is
but
it
is
like
it a
a
car engine or is it aircraft?
V8 or?
Just
They're
the one
usually
in
lighter on
that
the
spec.
aircraft as well.
It is a 525 horsepower. No, it's like a regular engine. With a different flat machine flywheel, like it's just built different, but it's a regular, it's not a car engine.
Is everything all new? I mean, they're
Yeah,
not
this is all
rebuilt
brand,
engines?
this is all brand new
It's
stuff.
Okay, all right.
2 quotes from 2 different places were in Cocoa, and the third quote was from Ocala.
and if I
Did we
recall
seek
correctly,
anybody local?
They
we-
did
we-
look everywhere. We had a hard time finding these three, because we were even reaching out to Texas and Louisiana for what we need, right?
Okay.
There's other I'm assuming like the bigger ones. I don't know what the Pasco one sold, but they didn't have what we wanted
Okay.
here. And we also told them that eventually, which I'll bring up, we could use for water rescue. So we kept that in mind. So there's some features on there that's already comes with it. Whatever we need for water rescue. I don't know what that is.
the spotlights
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things of that nature. Because as you all will recall,
Mhm.
in the 2024 storm season, we did assist the county with water rescues and getting people out of their flooded homes and neighborhoods with our vessels.
Excellent.
Yep. All right, so this will need a motion for.
Correct, this
Yep.
is a new item.
Yep. Is there, any further discussion?
No?
Need a motion? Approval?
Make a motion that we use the funds from the FEMA money to purchase the airboat now, the 14-foot airboat as discussed.
So, but it's items 60.64.
The airboat and trailer, correct?
Airboat and trailer.
Correct. The vehicles we just discussed, and we realized we didn't need the approval. But if you
Okay,
want to do
okay,
it that
okay.
way to make it easier, then that's all encompassing and that satisfies it as well.
Yeah, are you guys okay with doing that, just doing a motion to approve 60.64 in the draft budget for expenditures in this
In
year?
this fiscal year,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
We are.
Okay, have a motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
what else?
On the revenue side, this draft is based on the rolled back rate. Again, same as last board meeting, that was presented, the third draft. So the rate, again, the rollback rate is 0.2029 mils. And at that rate, we are currently estimating, let me make sure I've got this number updated. At 0.2029, the estimated revenue is $13,135,124.35. So that is the rate used, and if you have specific other items that you would like to discuss, we can certainly do that.
Commissioners?
I'd like to see it go below rollback. Around 100,000. We also, I might point out, we didn't know, it's our first time, we over budgeted on our task funds, so the good news is that we have approximately 200 and, this is just an approximate number, Jose knows the exact number, $220,000 that has not been spent in tasks this year. I think we'll obviously going to continue to fund task, but you know, we only have 40 days left to use that 200-some thousand, and the way we're tracking, it's, you know, fortunately, we're not going to be using much of that. The other thing that I know that we have been doing, but I continue to think we should and will continue to doing, is do everything we can to refurbish this place versus rebuild this place. So do what we can to do items that don't need permitting, so we don't have to pay the upcharges with all the other folks that are about to get involved here shortly. So that's what I would like to see. That would bring us to a millage rate of 0.019.
.019.
0.19. Thank you.
No, just one moment, please. 0.2012 would be the rate that you're requesting,
Oh, what?
with 110,000, yes.
Where I came up with that? Say that one more time. 0
No.
dot 20
0.2012.
12. Okay, thank you.
I'm a little hesitant to support that. There's quite a few unknowns that, we're just not aware of what's gonna happen here in November, and, I wanna make sure that we can protect the public's health. And I really hate to see us digging into the operational side of the budget. So, I personally think that the prudent thing to do this year is to adopt a rollback rate.
Okay.
Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I concur. We've kind of discussed this before, and I thought we kind of settled on the rollback, and with the uncertainty of what we're doing here in the future, I'd like to be safe, and we can always go back next year and say, all right, we're good, we can cut it down, but right now, my crystal ball's broken, I know, I can't see what's going on, so I'd like to play it safe.
Okay, so, what action do we need to take today on this? Or are we're good with moving forward the way things are?
If the board is good with moving forward at the rolled back rate, our next board meeting scheduled for September 10th, thank you, is also the date of our tentative budget hearing.
Yep.
So at that point, the notices have gone out through the property appraiser's office, with the trim notices have gone out. So the rates that were advertised were the rollback rate that we submitted for the process. And then I'd like to have an idea if you're looking at changing anything. I would really like to know that now, because last year, as you recall, we did not have one consensus, and we had to repost the meeting. So it would behoove us to have direction. We will present that at the tentative budget hearing, and then because we also scheduled the tentative budget hearing and the final budget hearing so close together, given some traveling that month, we don't have time to make corrections. So our posting would be that of the rollback rate. That's what we'll put in the Tampa Bay Times. Now, once it's posted there, you cannot go above that rate. You do have the ability to reduce it further at the final budget hearing, but I would really like for our direction for staff to be very clear so that we do not have to redo any meetings or advertisements. Please.
I hear your message.
Thank you.
And I saw you looking at me. All right, next item, you're done with that?
So we're going rollback?
No, well, I
Or
wanted
what?
to ask about the drone program.
So which program, I'm sorry?
Drone program, where are we with that? Are we paying, how much, are we paying vendors this year to run it, or are we doing it? Do we know what we're doing at this stage?
So currently, this calendar year, we have not required the use of contracted drone services.
Okay.
Up until last month, we really, with all the way the rains came this year with, extreme drought conditions at the beginning of the year, we didn't have a need for it.
Mhm.
Obviously now we are much more in the operational swing, a very operational heavy swing of things currently, but we are able to accomplish the sites that we had been using the contractor for with our other operational capacity. Update on, this doesn't really have to do with the budget, but we can transition to it if you'd like. The vendor situation that
Let's just
we-
cover that under your report.
Okay, we can do that.
Let's stick to the budget here.
Stick to the budget.
Is there
got it.
anything else on the budget that we need to discuss? Okay, hearing none.
Okay, we will present the rollback rate at the tentative budget hearing on September 10th.
Does anybody need a break?
I'll take one if you're offering.
All right, let's have a 5-minute break. Recording?
What time?
Okay, we're good. All right. General information, director's report. Executive Director
All right.
Ryan.
Thank you, sir. We will provide you a brief update on several areas of our day-to-day district operations and community service. To begin, take a look at the request for service that we received from the community during July of 2026, of which we received 384 requests. That is compared to 318 received in the month of July of the same month last year. So that is an increase of 66 requests. This first slide shows us not only the volume of requests, but the geographic location of them is also important in helping us guide our operational decisions. You can see a significant concentration of requests along our coastal areas, and that is consistent with what we would expect with high tidal influxes and our mosquito species that comes off of the coastal areas, Aedes tanguricus mostly, which is a very aggressive biter. So that while it's nice to see the number of requests that we have, it's nice to show the heat map where it actually puts it a little bit more into context that's behind the numbers to understand how much of the demand is really helping us concentrate in specific areas throughout the county. The
Just
next,
north of Connerton, that middle of that green area, what is it? That's a well field. What's that request? Any idea what that is there?
I would have to specifically look that one up.
That's okay.
Isn't that out there by the jail?
The jail is in that general area off of 41, but I
That
would,
actually still looks like Connerton, the new area.
yeah,
That's
you
all right.
have
Those are
to,
in
you have
touch.
to
Yeah.
understand that the mapping system in Map Vision, our data management system, is outdated and has not kept up with the rapid construction and growth in our area. So while it looks like
It's
there's
the middle of a swamp.
green
it's
space
not,
in the
yeah.
middle of a swamp, that may not actually be the reality.
Okay.
And that's part of the challenges with that data management program that we've been using, especially in the last several years.
I've been very shocked at how high the tides have been coming in over the last couple months. I don't know if you noticed it, but I mean,
Yeah, I had
just
that.
well above what you typically see.
Yeah.
You know. So
Which
that has to,
explains
Yeah,
why
explain
we're
why.
having so many service requests along those coastal areas, because the higher the tide, the potential more eggs that are inundated with water
Yeah.
and will hatch off.
Yeah.
So that is a huge environmental contributor to our needs. You know, we do have the tide station that we maintain there along the coast, and we monitor that every day. So that's part of our field briefing every morning
so
with the staff.
are you noticing an increase in the tide levels? Or is it just me just saying? "Gosh,
I
tide's
personally
up"?
have not compared it to prior year
Yeah, I'd be
trends,
curious.
but that is something that we could potentially take a look at if it's really
Yeah, I'd be curious
of
to know
interest.
And there's a neighborhood out there. It's like North Connerton.
Yeah.
There's
So,
one.
okay,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
there you go. So the map is just
Yeah.
outdated. It's how fast things
Yeah.
are constructed here.
You know, and I was watching Dennis Phillips last night, actually, and of course, he's been a meteorologist in this area for as long as I can remember. He's calling for an extremely wet winter,
Yeah.
extremely
Okay.
wet winter. Yeah,
We'll see that as it comes.
well,
If anything, our annual seasonal weather patterns have been anything but consistent.
Yeah, they've been-
The last several years, you know, our rains are starting later in the year than they did just 5 years ago. And of course that, all of those environmental factors drive mosquito populations and mosquito distribution throughout our area as well, so that certainly impacts what we do. You know, when I first started at the district 7 years ago, our ULV trucks and our Sentinel Chicken program stopped right after Thanksgiving. And last year we had West Nile virus transmission in January.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you know,
everything
what
is
we're seeing
cyclical.
is very, very different than what used to be the trend for seasonal weather patterns. The next slide puts the current year into the broader perspective, comparing 2026 year-to-date to our 2025 activity. So you can see the differences there as well. Give me a moment here, let me try to get this plugged back in before I lose all my notes. All right, you can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. Public records requests. We have seen a total of 79 records requests received to date for the fiscal year, while only one request remains currently in progress. While public records requests are a routine part of government operations, I think it's a useful measure of the volume of administrative work our staff handles in addition to our core functions of mosquito control operations and protecting public health. Our goal always will be to comply with our regulations and respond promptly and thoroughly, while also ensuring that we remain transparent and accessible to the public. But of course, our mission cannot be sacrificed in order to accomplish that. So it is a balance that we have to play. Next slide, please. Tire collection program. Our tire collection efforts continue, and as we are making a meaningful contribution to both mosquito control and environmental stewardship to date fiscal year, we have collected 6,246 tires, which represents approximately 187,380 pounds of discarded tires in the environment. These collections are particularly important because discarded tires can hold small amounts of standing water and become mosquito production sites. So removing them from the environment not only addresses an existing waste problem, but also eliminates potential mosquito habitat, particularly that of Aedes aegypti, our primary vector for dengue, Zika, and chikungunya. So it also helps us lower the risk of mosquito-borne disease. Mosquito fish distribution through our program. We have distributed 2,554 mosquito fish, approximately, to residents and other appropriate locations throughout the year. This is another example of our integrated mosquito management approach, rather than relying solely on chemical applications, and continuously returning to particular habitats where possible. We distribute our natural biological control method using mosquito fish to control mosquito populations in the areas where we can. Next slide, please. Nope, my notes do not coincide. So we also are celebrating work anniversaries, of course, as we have been. So always want to take a moment to recognize the work of our team and the dedication that they have in continuing to serve the public and help us reduce mosquito populations and lower the risk of mosquito-borne disease. This past month in July, we had Sergio Sierra, one of our ULV drivers, celebrating his 11th year of service. We have Tom Ludington, aquatic technician, serving 2 years with the district, and we have Mike Santiani, a mosquito tech, celebrating 1 year of dedicated service to the district. So we want to continue to thank them for their efforts in helping us serve our community. Next slide, please. We also received a wonderful 5-star review on Google from a resident in Quail Hollow area who has apparently lived here for 35 years, and his property is located directly adjacent to Cypress Creek Preserve. This resident specifically credited our aerial control efforts while making a dramatic difference in their ability to enjoy their yard, specifically noting that it wasn't that long ago when I couldn't go out in my yard without either having to wear long pants and sleeves and or slather mosquito repellent all over myself. The ground truck spray would occasionally, would spray occasionally, but hardly made any dent in the overall population since the vast majority of breeding occurs away from the roads. Fast forward to today, where now my family and I can go outside in our shorts and short sleeves without being attacked by mosquitoes. It's a night and day difference. A big shout out to the Pasco County mosquito control folks for making outside living more livable. So it's feedback like this that really helps provide a very tangible example of what our work looks like from the perspective of the people that we serve. We've really expanded our surveillance and control efforts in, particularly in this area, around the Cypress Creek Preserve, in and around, over the last 5 or so years. Our surveillance, our aerial operations, ground operations, and other control efforts that we utilize, it involves a lot of technical data, but ultimately the goal is to make a measurable difference in the people's quality of life and protect from mosquito-borne disease and the ability to have them safely enjoy their homes and their communities. So it's always especially rewarding when a resident takes the time out of their busy lives to report feedback like this to us, and really help us see the difference that we're making in the lives of those we serve. The resident did add one final request. Now, if only you could also do something about those biting flies. So alas, our work is never finished. Next slide, please. Before I go to that, we also had one additional team member join us, our ULV, a part-time ULV driver, in the month of July, Christopher Millett. So we want to please assist me in welcoming Christopher to the team. As a reminder, this position helps us provide our additional operational capacity and flexibility for our ground adult mosquito control program in the neighborhoods, particularly as a seasonal mosquito activity and the service demands fluctuate. So we're pleased to welcome him to the team to contribute to our field operations. Switching gears a little bit from operational items, at the last meeting, Commissioner Abbott asked for an update on the sale, I believe it was you, the sale of our surplus property. So I would like to give you a brief update on that. We remain on schedule to close by the end of the calendar year, as you all had known about that. Although there may be a possibility that the buyer could be ready to close earlier, even as early as the end of October, depending on a review they're currently under with the county and a resolution on a stormwater matter that they're currently trying to work through. So depending on how that issue is resolved, our closing could actually be sooner than anticipated. Or at the latest anticipated timeline, we're looking at the first week of December. So potentially earlier than that, but the beginning of December if not. And because the closing timeline could be accelerated, I would like to get some direction from the board today regarding an item that we received last week that will have to be addressed at closing. We received from the buyer's counsel an assignment and assumptions of agreement for sale and purchase of property with consent form. So under our existing, I don't know, that's kind of what my reaction was too when Ms. Donaldson first approached me with this. So under our existing purchase agreement, the purchaser is permitted to designate another entity as its nominee and assign its rights and obligations under the agreement, subject to the district's consent. Basically, they're allowed to do this, we just have to, based on the language in our contract, we have to provide consent for it. So the document formally assigns the purchaser's rights and obligations under our existing agreement from 41 Mosquito LLC to the designated assignee, with that assignment becoming effective on the closing date. So that document also includes the district's consent to the agreement, or to the assignment, which is the portion that we would execute at closing. So District Attorney Donaldson has already reviewed the document from a legal perspective. It is in line with the language that's already in our contract, and it is ready for execution at time of closing, whenever that should occur in the upcoming months, whether it's December or it is accelerated. So my question for the board today is, this is more of an administrative function, so would you prefer that at the next board meeting, because we do have some time, but it would have to be next month, at the next board meeting, I come back with the actual document for your full formal review and consideration and approval, or do you want to designate authority for me to sign the document? It's completely up to you all.
I'd like to see the language in the next few weeks, but I need to better understand what you've just said there. So the company that we're selling to, that's their business. They acquire and move properties on. They don't keep the property, so we knew that from the beginning. And it's been an assignable contract, if I understand, from the beginning, is that right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes, the
So-
existing agreement allows for that.
So that the change potentially we're looking at, again, tell me we're bringing somebody else into the sales process, or are they fully contracted to carry on and wrap
So
it up?
who's the assignee? And is there-
I could pull that up. Attorney Donaldson, if you have anything else to add from how I described it, please jump in.
Yeah, my understanding, this is all basically a paperwork exercise that's done at closing. And so, because the contract requires us to give consent, that's why we're involved with having to basically join into this transfer assignment, which they have the right to do under the contract.
So is there any change to who the principals are of either one of those companies?
As Commissioner Abbott said, you know, the company that we have a contract with is, so if you let's step back for a second. So when we originally went through the bid process, the company that had the best offer is actually separate from the company that we signed the purchase and sale agreement, because effectively that development company created an entity, Mosquito 41 LLC, and we had to go through and kind of cross the T's and dot some I's, because obviously we couldn't enter into a purchase and sale agreement with a different company until we showed that those were related. As it relates to this next step, I do not believe that the companies are related at all. Effectively, my understanding is that the company that we have a contract with and its parent company, you know, they get properties under contract and they get them entitled, and then they sell them to developers or transfer the purchase to another party.
Has there been any change in density or usage from what we were told to what they applied for and they're in the process of getting?
So we have not been involved with their development process. And if I recall, this contract was not one that was based on, I remember we had a couple contracts that were based on how many density units they are. I do know, I have seen the plans just because of an issue with DOT, and it is residential.
Well, we knew that, but there was a maximum amount of units that they were going to acquire, which that went into my decision-making process.
Yeah, our contract did not bind them to the density.
Okay.
And the agreement that they sent over is not completed with the assignee information. So I don't know if, Attorney Donaldson, did they provide the assignee name to you or just the form that you sent?
No, it was just the form, because they wanted us to get ahead and make sure that we procedurally knew how we wanted to approve it before the closing. They didn't want to get to closing and then have an issue. I do know that, the contract does give them the right to assign. And one of the reasons why we potentially might be able to close earlier is there is an issue where they might potentially have to remove, my understanding, one of the units based on a county requirement to include within your development areas that DOT can use for stormwater, which I find very interesting, but, so that's kind of why we have the 2 dates.
Well, I mean, I concur with Commissioner Abbott. I want to see what it is that we're being asked to sign.
Okay, then I will put that on the agenda for next board meeting, and we will make
Hopefully in a
sure.
couple of weeks, maybe we could take a look at it.
I can send it to you
Yeah.
right after the meeting.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I have the
okay.
document. Now, it doesn't have the assignee, but it's just the language in the
Yeah,
document
and
saying that.
I'd still be asking the same questions. I mean, in a sales process, I don't like bringing any other variables into it, but I guess we'll look at it in detail and see what risks that puts us at, if any.
Well,
Or
and-
does it help us?
And in the contract that we signed,
It's assignable.
it is assignable.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I understand.
Okay. So on the September agenda, an assignment.
I mean, it's just a formality that we need to approve it, so.
Okay. That's why we're doing this now, to make sure it's
Yep.
in place for when we need it. Very good.
What else?
Okay, give me 1 second. All right, the next item I'd like to discuss is the future of our on-site unleaded bulk fuel tank and filling station. As we continue to evaluate deferred maintenance requirements and improvements over our campus, we've taken a closer look at whether maintaining the current bulk fueling infrastructure actually makes sense for our operation to date. The tank is at a point in its service life where it's already overdue for required cleaning, which is a significant job, about $6,000 expense from when we've done it previously.
Let me ask you right now, this we had manufactured in Claremont, Florida, what, 8 years ago?
I do not know the origin date nor when it was installed.
Oh, okay.
That was before
I keep
my
looking
time
at it
here.
like it's almost brand new. but
Well,
go
we
ahead.
repainted it about
Oh,
a
it
year
really
and a
looks
half ago.
good. Okay.
So we've tried to maintain it
Yeah, it's not
without
very old. All right,
investing
go
a
ahead.
lot in the infrastructure, because
Lipstick on
again,
a pig.
we were planning to be relocating by this time, so,
Right, okay.
the extensive maintenance, routine maintenance was not, is overdue.
I see.
So we also have, due to the lightning strike, you'll recall that there was some significant damage to the fueling infrastructure. So we've actually been inoperational now since that time. We had a repair, it did not, it was not what we needed, so we've been, going to gas stations and fueling up, since that time. In order to make that operational where we need it, it's a $12,000 additional repair. On top of that, it's not just the bulk tank, but the pump station is nearing end of its life, and in order to get that operationally where we need it, that's another $8,000. I'm sorry, another replacement cost. $8,000 is the annual insurance premium that we pay to have the bulk fuel and its operation on our campus.
So the insurance alone's $8,000?
Yes, for maintaining the fuel system. And then, of course, we also have a $50 annual fee to FDEP for them to ensure that we are operating it in compliance with their processes. So there are significant expenses that go along with the operational use and maintenance of that on-site. We previously considered relocating the fueling station elsewhere on the property as part of, evaluating the deferred maintenance and upcoming campus improvements. However, in the meantime, this being inoperable with the system has really forced us to take a step back and potentially evaluate a different approach. So since the lightning strike, we have been utilizing the gas stations, which requires, initially was requiring a supervisor, P-card holder to go out, meet with every person who needs to fuel up their truck that day, get them all their fuel, the administrative burden of keeping track of every receipt and getting that through our administrative process was significant. So we've actually, through our system that we have in place for our fleet management, they have a component that we weren't initially utilizing, right? Because we just started using Motive about a year and a half ago. So we're exploring the other services that are available through that system. One of which is a fleet fuel card system that provides a much greater transparency and accountability at point of sale. And it reduces that administrative burden that we were, having to do with a P-card system.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, do we save any money by buying the fuel
Yes.
ourselves because of the road tax or
No,
sales
so
tax?
I was getting there.
Okay.
So what we've actually learned now that we've implemented the fleet fueling card system through Motive, that was free, just an added service that we're, for the program that we're already paying for. It also has preferred vendors, so, specific gas stations have X discount for the time. So in utilizing that, we're actually seeing a greater savings, a reduction in fuel cost from what we are getting with our bulk fuel from the port. So it's even saving us in terms of the actual cost.
Okay, so but my specific question is, are we exempt from paying any of the taxes that you pay when you go to the pump? If it says, I just filled up my truck, $5.59 a gallon, there's a big portion of that are taxes that are buried inside that per gallon cost.
Right, and the same is true for when we buy bulk fuel from the port. The price that we're getting per gallon is reasonable, but then you add on all the additional fees and it's.
I've never seen a tax break since we bought fuel.
So,
Yeah.
we're not exempt from paying like the sales tax?
Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay, so there's no reason for us to be in the fuel management business?
Well, there is one reason, I think. I think we still need to have some sort of a system in case of storm.
So
you must have a plan for that.
We do have a plan for
Good.
that, yes, of
And
course
what's
we do.
that?
So right now, the district has been maintaining for quite some time now additional smaller tanks for rec fuel as well as diesel fuel. We can do the same with unleaded, regular gas. So we just won't have the bulk capacity that we do to this extent, but we would certainly still have fuel available in the wake of a natural disaster. We have definitely taken in emergency planning into consideration in this. So yes, we will still have the capacity to do that. It's just not gonna be at the same level that we do. And also in our relationship building with the emergency management for the state of Florida over the last year and a half, they are because of that relationship and our willingness and ability to assist other entities and organizations in the wake of a natural disaster, they they already have us on their list for prioritization of getting things like fuel generators, things like that after a storm. So we
Okay.
certainly have that into
Sounds like we need to
consideration.
make a change.
And lastly, another benefit to removing it would be opening up some prime real estate on our campus for future needs as we are assessing our already underserved.
I think you had us at
ability to
hello
gen-
on this
Okay,
one, so
well,
can you
I
move
mean, you
on?
know, I provided justification, I'm getting it there. So it's gonna cost us $15,000 to remove it properly, so that is the question.
Let's
Can I
get it-
spend $15,000
Get
to
it
get
out.
it out?
Let's get
Okay.
it done, because we are obviously located in the
Cancel
wrong
the
part.
insurance.
We are located in the wrong part of the county. So, you know, the future is going to be that trucks and people are by our customers out east. That's where the fuel is, that's where the customers are. So, anyway, let's do it.
Okay, we'll move that forward, thank you.
Can we sell the tank?
So that was,
We can't find
we
anybody to.
looked into it and we're having a hard time finding
have to pay
anyone
to
who
get
will
rid of
do
that
that.
thing.
So if you
Yeah.
would, if you have someone in mind that you know of that will buy it from us, please send them our way as soon as possible, so.
And did we spend thousands on a new pump, or what was the
We have
replacement
not.
part?
We have not purchased any of that yet.
Okay, good.
Because we were holding off because we wanted to determine if the fueling card system was going to work for us operationally, so now we have a month and a half of use of that, and it's working quite well.
And is that tank full or empty?
It is empty we are emptying it.
it's
We were
empty
able
right
to get it out and put it into one of the smaller 500 gallon capacity ones, so we've been using it.
Okay,
It's not going to waste.
good, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good, thank you.
That was easy.
Last item.
That was painful.
You want the details, I'm giving you the details. Well, you don't want the details, I guess. Drone use, to finish that discussion. So we have not contracted any of that this year, and Leading Edge is no longer in the drone business as we discussed at our last meeting. But on that, after you all approved us moving forward with the drone at the last meeting, we did purchase it. It has arrived just last Friday, just last week. We have our new drone, so we at least have a drone in our possession. Still working on trying to get reimbursement from Central Life Sciences, who was formerly, bought out Leading Edge Technologies. So they are in the process of getting the reimbursement out to us. So we are moving that forward. We have submitted for all of our approvals through FAA as well as FDACS for use of the new drone. We are, I think earlier this week, we were scheduling training for our drone pilot to begin using the drone and get that flying. So we are moving forward. In addition to that, on the software side, Central Life Sciences is now stating that they will support the software and the hosting of the software and the support and services of Map Vision through November. They have not committed to a date, whether that's November 1st or November 30th. So independently, because our contract for support and service goes, the contract that we're currently operating under goes through December 3rd. I am working to try to get them to honor the full agreement to December 3rd, at which point we will move, we will no longer, be affiliated with that system. So in the budget that you have there, if you recall, I did put in for the system to replace the data management program that we're currently using, so that as soon as October 1st, we can get underway with implementing, doing all of the background work that we'll need to do to implement the new software, so that we will have that in place for when Leading Edge software is no longer useful.
So
available.
we're doing away with Map Vision, and what's the other program we're bringing on?
It's called Field Seeker through Frontier, Field Seeker,
Field
Seeker.
seeker, okay.
Yes. So, you know, they have also been in the software, mosquito control specific software, about as long as Leading Edge had been, with the Map Vision program, and there are a number of end users throughout Florida and beyond that are using it. It will not provide us the same level of customization that we had with Map Vision. However, the cost reflects that. So it's a much cheaper option for us, and so we will have to adjust our operational practices to fit the software instead of the reverse of that, which is what we did with Map Vision. But that's not a bad thing, because that means implementation presumably would be faster, because it's an off-the-shelf design, we don't have to customize it. So it's a matter of getting our data, providing them the historical data, setting it all up on the back end, which will take several weeks, if not longer. So I'd like to move forward with that as soon as the fiscal year starts, so we can have that in place for when Leading Edge is no
So
longer
they'll
supported.
transfer our
For the Map Vision.
archived information, and that way we can see
That is the goal,
empirical
yes.
data over time, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't you just start moving forward with it now if you're ready to do it? And once the new budget goes into place, you can just refund the reserve account?
Certainly we could, but that would just be another thing that you all approve. Actually, is that within my spending authority? That might be within my spending authority. If I recall correct.
I mean, that seems like that's a
budget.
mission critical thing to do.
It is. So, I mean, if you're okay with that, that would certainly provide us a higher level of comfortability. Because while Central Life Sciences is saying they will support through November and potentially through the end of our contract, you know, there's no guarantee of that at this time, so.
I'm more concerned about getting our money back from them.
Yeah, what,
I'm fine with that. You
I'm
guys
curious
fine?
what the holdup is, because
Run a
it's
parallel
been
system.
well over 30 days, right?
It has, and when I ask Central Life Sciences about it, they say, you know, it's in process. We have, it's an absolute mess, I'll be frank, of what they're dealing with. So the week before last, they were, the way that it was described from the representative with Central Life Sciences, that they were liquidating that Daytona facility. So the shop is closed, and they are trying to figure out what the next step is. I have been participating on a weekly call that the end users, we were, you know, sort of banding together to try to get more time out of Central to support the system. The problem is we all have different contracts, we all have different dates of which they were executed and therefore expire, and so it's a very convoluted issue, and it's very messy. So I will continue to just to stay on it, and of course if it doesn't come to fruition, we have alternate means of receiving the reimbursement for that unit. So, don't want to threaten that at this point, because they are trying to be cooperative. I mean, they have extended the timeline from which that they were going to be cutting off the support and hosting of it, so.
Yeah, but that could end any time.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you know, you can just come to work one day and it's not there.
That is certainly a fear.
So
I would think the quality of the
move
people
forward.
is the bigger issue as they
Yeah.
just start to disappear. But, yeah, parallel system makes sense.
Okay. then
Have we
will-
tried our new drone?
No, not yet, because we wanna make sure we have the approvals in place to fly it before we
Okay.
launch it off the ground. So like I said, we just got it, Thursday, or Friday of last week, so, not yet. Stay tuned for more information on that, and then we will move forward, with implementing the Frontier system.
All right, anything else under your report?
That concludes my report, thank you,
All right,
gentlemen.
Thank you. I'm done. Harbor virus report.
All right.
Lot to report, I'm sure.
Can you go ahead and, yep, so this is the trap count totals for the month of July in 2026. July of 2026 totaling 64,289 mosquitoes. And you can compare that to July of 2025, totaling 103,567 mosquitoes. They're definitely higher now than they were in July. So our traps are definitely full now. You can advance the slide. This is a summary of the mosquito-borne disease activity in Pasco County for the month of July 2026. Of note, we had 5 sentinel chickens test positive for West Nile virus in the area of Land O'Lakes, with an additional 2 testing positive thus far in August. Okay, and then you can advance the slide. Year to date, we have responded to 13 Department of Health alerts, and 6 are still pending, 0 have been confirmed. You can advance the slide. Okay, so Florida-wide, you can advance the slide actually. Florida-wide in year to date, we have had 1 symptomatic human, 1 asymptomatic blood donor, and 40 sentinel chickens test positive for West Nile virus. 1 sentinel chicken testing positive for St. Louis encephalitis virus. 36 sentinel chickens and 3 horses testing positive for Eastern equine encephalitis virus. There have been 65 travel-related dengue cases, 7 locally acquired dengue cases, 47 travel-related chikungunya cases, and 29 cases of travel malaria. And that is it for me. Does anyone have any questions?
Isn't Pinellas County under
No, Hillsborough,
Hillsborough, but didn't I read that Pinellas had a dengue case?
They did have 2 dengue cases confirmed, I believe, last week. So they
They might
just
not
may
be.
not have put them under advisory status. Additionally, Walton County just had a human West Nile virus case, so I think they are also awaiting an advisory.
Okay.
So Department of Health is, the advisories aren't necessarily the exact time that the cases are confirmed.
Okay,
It does take some time, unfortunately.
all right.
but Hillsborough's got a dengue outbreak right now, correct?
They, last I heard it was 8
Wow.
confirmed cases, but that was about a week ago, so.
None in Pasco yet.
Currently, that is correct, yes.
We are still responding to 4 Department of Health alerts though, so we are monitoring the situation and treating as needed.
And so when Agna is referencing that, again, when we receive notifications from Department of Health for human-related cases, we are notified upon suspicion that there is mosquito-borne disease. So this is before confirmatory testing, and as you saw from the prior slide, many of which come back negative. So we are notified and we begin our response for increased surveillance around the area and targeted control applications upon suspicion. We don't wait for confirmation because sometimes that could take weeks, and we don't have weeks to wait if it is positive. So we respond upon suspicion, and if it comes back in 3 weeks that it was negative, great. We stop our process for that specific case at that time, but some of them, it takes a very long time. So our typical response varies depending on the mosquito-borne disease in particular and the mosquito vector that's associated with that virus. And so we could be looking at 6 to 8 weeks of response for each one of these cases where we have the increased surveillance and additional control activity.
And just to add, Pasco County is now currently under mosquito-borne illness advisory as well, so.
Because of
For
the
the
sentinel
chickens.
chickens. Right.
You said Pasco, right?
Pasco.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's why we're
Right.
shaded on the
Right,
map.
okay. All right, safety report, Mr. Nick.
Yes, sir. We had 2 vehicle incidences. One was a citizen backed into one of our vehicles, left a small dent in our vehicle, no injuries. And the second one was one of our mules rolled into the back of a truck and it left a small scratch, but those are reportable incidences, no injuries in either one. On August 26th, through the connection with the state that she mentioned earlier with the emergency management, we've been trying to get our team some training on high water rescue with the airboats and stuff that we did last year, because we just went into it kind of blind and, you know. So he gave us a local contact, Pasco Fire Department. I got in touch with them, so our first meeting / training is next week, the 26th. So they want to work with us in the future, and the way he explained it is that they build emergency teams and they put our equipment, they're going to look at what we have onto like a team, like team 1, team 2. And then if we have an incident, we can have the qualified people who wants to, you know, help out, and we can dispatch a team to wherever they need. Still working with another contact with FWC to get more training, but they have not reached back out to us. But at least we got with our local fire department. We're
That's
gonna
great.
start that
Love
training.
to see you guys working with them.
And then we had 2 inspectors pass their public health core and public health tests, Ben and Glenn, so they're fully licensed and good to go.
Ben and Glenn.
Ben and Glenn,
All right.
that's all I got.
You may want to place a call to the Coast Guard Station Sand Key.
Sand Key?
Sand Key,
Okay.
yeah, that's where I used to work out of, and they are not busy as they were when I was there. We had 500 search and rescue cases a year when I was there back in the late 80s.
Don't date me, though.
And now they're down to about 200 annually, so,
Okay.
and they've got all kinds of assets there,
Okay.
you know, so they may even be able to help you out a little further.
All right, yep, I'll do that, thank you.
All right. Community outreach and education report, ladies.
Hi, good
Hello.
morning still. So
Glad to
as
see
you can
Karen
see,
here
we have
today.
the entire outreach team here.
I see that.
So just a reminder that outreach is a key part of the integrated mosquito management program, equipping residents with the knowledge and tools to reduce mosquito breeding and protect public health. Strong community engagement is essential to effective mosquito control. If you could do the next slide, please. All right, so we went to a senior expo at Southern Charms Sweetwater and Settlers Rest, which is in Zephyr Hills, Florida. That's actually an RV resort. It was their first annual. They just started doing this and we had a lot of fun. And as you can see, we started actually a new little thing. Karen's been doing a great job with making buttons, and so we do mosquito buttons, and as you can see, you can color in your button. They're very popular right now, if you do not know that, but we'll get you a button, commissioners. But so as you can see, the seniors even love the buttons too, so not just the kids. So that was a really fun event. Next slide, please. We did a Insectarium Day on July 29th. That was at Creative World School at Starkey Ranch, right about down the road from us here, right? Yeah. Karen, and had a lot of fun with the kiddos there and their parents, and they did a really great job on their own. On the right-hand side is a picture of all the projects that they did for that as well, so we thank them for having us. Next slide. We also love doing speaking events, and so Karen spoke at the Rotary Club of West Pasco Sunset and also at the Radiant Life Senior Enrichment Day Center for their seniors, and she got to share with them all about our mosquito management program and then also how they can also protect themselves. So next slide, please. We also did a Pasco County Code Compliance in-service training day. Did I talk about this in detail last meeting? I forgot, but
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We hosted the Code Compliance team for their monthly in-service training day. While our organizations have different missions, we share a common goal: protecting public health, preserving quality of life, and serving the residents of Pasco County. During the training, we provided an inside look at our operations and discussed how our teams often encounter many of the same challenges in the field, from neglected swimming pools and illegal tire dumping to standing water and other conditions that can create habitats where mosquitoes thrive. By recognizing where our work intersects, we can strengthen communication and work together to address concerns before they become larger problems. partnerships with agencies like Pasco County Code Enforcement are essential to achieving both our missions of protecting our community. So we loved having them there. We had a full in-service training day, and they really learned a lot about what we do, and we sure learned a lot about what they do and how we can all work together. Next slide, please. So POHA, Pasco One Health Alliance, we launched a video podcast, and so we are calling it One Health, One Community. And so we really want to thank the Pasco County Library. They actually, if you do not know, at Hudson Branch, which is now being remodeled, they have a room that you can actually do podcasting inside of it, but they actually came to us since they are in a remodel. They did an incredible setup, production, and editing. Myself and Director Rogers were stunned by the full production that they had. So that middle picture is actually the full production of cameras, podcasts, microphones, etc. And so the reason why we're doing this is to extend the reach of POHA and not only have our quarterly meetings, but also to now get this information out to the Pasco County community. So the first episode, the first picture there on the left was Director Rogers. Trang Chittacone, the Health Officer Administrator of Pasco County Department of Health. Gary Herrero, Director of Pasco County Animal Services. Christina Cordone, the Assistant Director of Pasco County Parks, Rec, and Natural Resources. And then I moderated that episode, and that first episode was the introduction of One Health and POHA. And then we had about a half-hour break, and the next guest that came in, which that topic was hurricane preparedness through a One Health lens, was again Director Rogers, and then Andy Fossa came, the Director of Pasco County Emergency Management, Jordan French, the Assistant Director of Support Services for Pasco County, and then again, I moderated. So we made a little joke with Marcos and Mike with the library and said we could tell you all about mosquitoes, but you need to help us with this podcasting, and man, did they do a fantastic job. They will be editing these as well. So we are in the process of looking at filming episodes 3, 4, maybe 5, and maybe even doing one for our district here as well on its own. Super fun, something new, and I don't think we did a bad job at all, huh, Director Rogers?
What platform?
Until we see editing and bloopers.
Yes.
Sorry, sir?
What platform? Is it on YouTube or? where
We
you-
will be putting it on YouTube, and then they also have platforms they can help us put them on and
Okay.
suggest as well, so. Yeah, until you see the bloopers, we won't know how good or bad we did. So, and then I don't have a slide for this one because it just came in, but I'm happy and honored to announce that Pasco County Mosquito Control District has been nominated for a Compassion Award through the Premier Community Healthcare 6th Annual Community Impact Breakfast, which will be next Wednesday, August 26th. We have been nominated for the Community Partnership Award, which presented to a corporation, small business, or organization who exemplifies the importance of community health through their commitment, motivation, and dedication to sustainability, improve the health of underserved populations. 2 community partnership awards will be presented, a small business or organization, or a large business or organization, and we were recognized under the large organization. So that's just a dedication to all that our team does and the passion that we have in protecting public health. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you to both of you for everything you're doing out there.
Yes.
All right, good of the order. Commissioner Evans.
Great job.
It's everybody.
I think you guys are doing a great job, all of you. I just wanted to, I was just looking over for the September meeting. I know the blue sheet says to be determined. I just wanted to, before we depart today, verify, since it is our next meeting, I got September 10th at 15:30 and 1700 for meetings. I'm sorry, 3:30 and 5 o'clock for you folks. That's correct, right? And then the
Yes.
17th is at 5 p.m.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Apologies
It's right on the
for
agenda, correct? Yeah.
Correct, yes. The
Yeah.
agenda is correct, but the blue insert at the front of your packet is not, so we will make sure that's updated for next week. I don't actually have one of those blue inserts, so I don't see
Oh.
that.
Yeah, I just happened to look, that's all right, that's not a big deal, but,
Okay, yes.
all right, no,
But
just wanna make sure, I don't wanna miss that.
those are the correct dates, yes, and there they are on the screen
Excellent.
as well.
Good job, everyone.
Commissioner Abbott.
Nothing, thank you.
I am good.
Now
I have nothing else.
One-
I
one-
guess I just wanna say good luck today, Commissioner Abbott, on your election.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
absolutely. Upcoming meetings and events are noted. Anything else? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, meeting adjourned at 11:01.